Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have some pretty big news to go over today. We have the Invictus day of Misk and Mirai, and I believe Argo as well. Or no, not Argo, Consolidated Outland. But we have the release, the official flight ready status of the Misk Starlancer TAC, as well as the new Mirai Guardian MX. So we're going to go over, there's a little trailer for the Starlancer TAC. There's a behind the ships for the Guardian MX. We're going to go through some points in there. There's also a really big teaser at the new combat ATLS suits. We can see a little bit more detail on them, see them actually being used, and that's in the Starlancer TAC trailer. So we're going to take a look at that for a few minutes as well, and then we'll go over the store pages for them, see what sort of paints there are, all those sorts of things, and check out anything else that we have. That's some of the big news for today. So let's go ahead and get into it. And just before we get into it, I will again remind you that I am currently running a giveaway for the Greycat MTC. I'm going to be drawing a winner during the finale of Invictus. All you need to do is go to the video linked in this video's description and leave a comment under that video, and you will automatically be entered to win that vehicle. It'll be with LTI. It'll have the special concierge paint. It's like, I think it's Moonstone it's called. It's a nice deep navy blue paint on there. So you just leave a comment on that video and you will be entered to win. You just need to be able to, if you do win, contact me via Discord so I can verify that you are who you say you are. But that is everything for that. So now let's go ahead and get into it. So first, let's start with the trailer for the Starlancer TAC. We're not going to watch the whole thing here. I'll probably have it playing in the background as I'm talking. And then in a moment here, we are going to skip to the little teaser that they gave us for the ATLS combat suits, because we can see them in action a little bit. We can see them moving. We can see a little bit more on like the texturing and some different stuff that I noticed with them that is very interesting. And I'm pretty sure we will be getting very soon, as also today on Spectrum, they announced that they are going to be trying to put out the first 4.2 Evocati patch today. So we're already getting into the next patch. We're like halfway through Invictus, maybe not even halfway, and we're already moving on to the next patch. So really big things that keep happening. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about the big teaser for the ATLS combat suits. Okay, so this is at about a minute 15 into the video. We have our first look. This is inside the Starlancer TAC. Looks like there are 6 of these combat suits. So we can see these ones that are really close to the camera, they have some lighting over them so you can see pretty well. They look, the geometry of them looks basically the same from what I can tell as what we have currently at Wickelow's Emporium, but they do have a seemingly different pattern, different texture, skin, whatever you want to call it, on them. They don't have the kind of digi-camo that the ones at Wickelow's have. They're much more of just a sort of just, metal plate looking thing. And, I'm sure there'll be plenty of skins for this thing when it comes out. The other thing I've noticed is you can see it better on the ones that are a little further away. These have what appears to be a backpack on them. So, it leads me to wonder there's probably a few different things that backpack could do in theory. One would be, potentially in the future, probably wouldn't work immediately, but if you had ballistic weapons attached to the arms, that backpack maybe would have some carrying capacity for extra ammunition. The other thing that I'm thinking is probably it might have some storage. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. But I also wonder if potentially we could see some size 0 components kind of housed in this backpack. Maybe I would think at least a shield generator, probably. So you have maybe one size 0 shield on this thing, which would be pretty cool. Of course, size 0 shields themselves are not they're not particularly strong. But against, FPS, in FPS engagements, a size 0 shield would give you some sizable protection, at least for a decent amount of time, before relying on the actual armor and protection, those metal coverings on the suit itself. So that's another thing that could be in there. Beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. it might. I would expect this to probably also have some of the jump pack thrusters that the Atlas Geo has to make it more maneuverable. You can move it up. You can jump up on top of buildings or things like that. I would not be surprised if it has that. Beyond that, I don't have a ton of other ideas though. If you have any other ideas for maybe what the backpack could be utilized for, what we could see put in there, make sure to let me know that down in the comments. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts on that. And then here we can also see them kind of in action and what looks like some different skins on them. If we let it go a little now, we have to go back. We can see 2 on the ground. We can see them firing right here again. It looks like by default they have, I think it's size 2 laser repeaters. It might be size 3, but I think it's more likely it's size 2. We'll have to, of course, check once we actually get them. You can see one here. This one looks like it has sort of a yellow skin on it. We can see the backpack area in the back there. So yeah, it looks like of course there will be skins. This one looks like it has either a gray or a white skin on it. The backpack is also, themed after that. So really, really interesting. I'm hoping with the introduction of these, they continue to give us more missions or events that involve, I would love to see more combined arms stuff, because I think it's just really, really fun. I think we did get some of that with the Hathor facility stuff. A lot of the time you'd have a lot of ships up in the air to protect if you were at a mining location, but you might also have a couple of tanks or people on the ground kind of staged around the mining area to provide, on foot protection or anti-air coverage, those sort of things. So it'd be really cool to see more uses for bringing in vehicles and bringing in these combat suits and things, but also having objectives that your ship needs to protect. So we'll have to see. Maybe we'll get some of that sort of stuff in 4.2. Hopefully something that makes this, useful, really fun to use. So we will have to see on that. But that's going to do it for going over the teaser trailer here, showing those combat suits. So now let's go look at the page for the Starlancer TAC itself. All right, so now here we are on the Starlancer TAC's page. So let's go ahead and go through it. Of course, they have the trailer playing in the background. Let's go ahead and go through. So, MISC Starlancer TAC, take back the frontier. In this time of growing uncertainty, MISC recognizes your need for assurance, protection, and the means to fight back. Join the Heroes Patrol on the Starlancer TAC, designed for tactical assault and rescue. Choose your best crewmates to man the guns, tend the medbay, and strap in for drop seat deployment into hostile territories. Courage takes you into the fight. The Starlancer TAC ensures you make it out. And of course, we have the video link if you want to watch that. We have some really cool looking art for it. Cover fire, surround artillery. A wealth of turrets, door guns, and bespoke missile launchers surround the Starlancer TAC, meaning it can take your squad further into the action and closer to victory. I think I will have to do some more ground-based testing, because I think, when I first tried the side turrets, I was criticizing, oh, they can't shoot forward and all that stuff. And now it is true that they are not. The ship is more meant to be a ground, in atmosphere ground area ship, sort of like an AC-130. It seems like it's kind of an equivalent they're drawing to it. So those side turrets make more sense to be able to cover, ground targets, shoot down, that sort of thing. So that part makes more sense. So we'll definitely have to do some more testing with that specifically. And we have Strike Twice, Unleash the Fury. Deploy support in an instant with the onboard Mirai Fury hangar, sending a swift and crushing blow to anyone standing in your way. So I know you can fit 1 in there pretty well. I know that 2 fits not super bad. You can definitely do it, and it's not the worst thing ever. And I think there's maybe a couple other really small ships that can fit in there. I think maybe one of them was the M50. I don't remember entirely though. But yeah, seems like there is a couple of little things you can fit in there, so you can have some extra support. So, just a nice little thing to have on that. Then we have Battlefield Support, a one-ship army base built for perfectly synced strike teams. The Starlancer's tactical variant puts the mission first, with drop seat deployment, an armory, and an onboard medbay to keep your crew fighting strong. And of course, there's some images for touring the ship. We've kind of looked around that previously. They are showing armor in the suit lockers, so maybe maybe we'll get that suit locker feature sometime. Maybe this year. We'll have to see. But it is undeniably a very beautiful ship. It's a very well-made ship on the inside. The outside looks amazing too. The med bay looks just incredible. Everything. I'd say I don't think there's any place in the ship that I really don't think just looks amazing. So I think they did a really, really good job on the art of this ship for sure. So now let's have a look at our technical specs and the paints. So again, our length, it's pretty much the exact same dimensions as the Starlancer TAC. So we're looking at 83 meters long, which is slightly smaller than a 600i or a Hercules. Our width is at 52 meters. A lot of that is kind of these big engines on the side and these wings that come off there. And then our height is at 16 meters. So it is it is a pretty big ship. It's definitely bigger than the Corsair and the Connie and those similar class ships. I guess, well, the TAC is probably in more of a similar class to the Hercules, whereas the Starlancer Max would probably be closer to the Corsair and the Connie. We have 8 crew, you have 8 jump seats, 96 SCU of cargo capacity, and you have 2 size 3 shields. That's a big bump up from the Starlancer Max, doubling the shields. I have seen it seems to have not great body HP, which probably needs a little bit of an increase. So we'll have to see if we get that at some point. So let's take a look at the paints that we have available. Okay, so first we have our standard, the tactical gray. It looks really nice. I'm totally fine with just running this paint, to be honest, but let's see what other ones we have. So again, that's the factory standard. We have the TALS green and black with orange highlights. So that one looks, I gotta admit, the first thing I thought of when I saw that paint was puke. Uh, it looks fine. That's just the first thing that I thought of for some reason when I saw that particular shade of green. So, and then we have Bonfire, which is gray and red. That one looks pretty cool. Nice kind of a I don't know what it's like red, but it's got something else in it. So on the underside there, and the top side is gray and looks really cool. Honestly, I think this paint would be even cooler if it was red on the bottom, but like the similar very dark gray or black on the top. I think that would look really, really cool. And then we have Atlantic, which is dark blue and yellow. Looks fine, mostly blue. Which is, a little bit of yellow here and there, but nothing too crazy on the turrets back there as well. And then last of all, we have Mojave. This is tan and blue with white highlights, and this is the concierge paint for the Starlancer TAC. This one looks all right. The brown is okay. Dark blue on the bottom there. Some gray or white or, whatever it is. White on the little turret up there. So yeah, that one's all right. I think honestly, my favorite's probably the factory standard. After that, it would probably be the Bonfire. So yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. Again, I'm pretty sure every other paint for the Starlancer will work on this. So there are many others that you could be able to put on this. But I think these are just some new ones that are coming specifically with the Starlancer TAC. And I'd imagine the ones with the Starlancer TAC should also work on the Max. So then let's look at our price. So for War Bond, we are looking at $340. I believe when this was first offered, I think the War Bond was, I want to say $295. So it's gone up 45 bucks or so, which isn't terrible. I think this puts it at, if you're buying it War Bond, it's a little bit more than the Redeemer. There's of course a twin pack, which I'm assuming one's the Starlancer Max, one's the Starlancer TAC at 535 War Bond. There's also a pack that gives you a Fury and the Starlancer TAC at 365, so you essentially get a Fury for, what is that, 25 bucks? Which the Furies are normally 50, 55, I want to say, maybe 60. So, if you're looking to get one of those, there's that option. Let's see if we have, I guess those are all the War Bond ones. Let's look at our store credit options. So, store credit, if you're going for just the ship, will be $375, so an extra 35 bucks. That $595 instead of $535 on the twin pack for the TAC and the Max. And your Fury pack is coming in at $400 instead of $365. So not terrible. So that puts it at $375, puts it at the same price as a Valkyrie, which is insane. Because this thing has, the Valkyrie might have a bajillion drop seats, but I think this ship compared, if you were to take, if you were to see, if you wanted this ship or the Valkyrie at the same price, I think there's like really no question that it would be better to take the Starlancer TAC. Bigger, more guns, more shields, more cargo. I think the cargo bay and the TAC also has more versatility in what vehicles you can fit. So I think there's, I don't know, like besides the Valkyrie might be more tanky, maybe, and more maneuverable potentially. Like I don't know. That's I think this would be you'd be, if you were looking at that price point, you'd be much better off getting the TAC probably than the Valkyrie. Then we have paints, of course. If you're concierge, there's some different paint packs. It looks like most of these are 750. So that's, you know, not too bad for this big of a ship. I guess this one's $11 for some reason. And then there's some other paints as well. They're from the Starlancer Max, the Snowcap, and the Wildcat. But that is all for the Starlancer TAC sales page. If you have any thoughts on the ship, make sure to let me know in the comments. Are you going to be picking one up since it's gone flight ready? Do you think it'll just be a buy in game eventually? Let me know everything that you think about the ship. So now we're going to go over the Guardian MX. We got the Behind the Ships episode for it, which I should have playing in the background behind me. Very interesting ship. Part of me wonders why the Guardian itself wasn't just this when it came out. I don't know. I guess there is some options again for new variants and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just point out a couple of things in the Behind the Ships episode, and then we'll also go over the store page for the MX, as well as I think there's a Q&A that we'll go over some of that as well. So we can see here the regular Guardian on the left and the MX on the right. You can see the wings are actually pretty significantly larger, and they have a little bit of a different shape to them. That compared to the normal Guardians, everything is just bigger on this. So that might affect actually how well it's able to fit into some of the carrier ships like the Polaris, the 890, maybe even the Idris. Like this might be too tall to fit there like comfortably. So very interesting. I know that I'm pretty sure the regular Guardian fits just fine in the Polaris, so I would expect that to fit fine in the Idris as well. But you know, maybe that's a trade-off you make, I guess. I don't know. You get a little bit bigger, heavier armored ship. You know, you got the missile launchers up here in the top wings. You have your size 4 guns, the blast shield. So it definitely will pack a big punch. But if you're not able to carry it anywhere, because again, this version does not have a bed. It has none of the habitation sections. I think they talk about that at some point in this trailer. They show the inside. So it's like you'd think that this would be more of a like more of a carrier based fighter because it doesn't have that same habitation area. See, it's just one big engineering room basically, because there's some extra components. See, they got rid of this. This is what's in the normal Guardian. You just got more components. So you'd think it'd be able to fit in a carrier ship of some sort, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that's the case. Now, I do really, really like the new MFD displays here. I think they have I think this is a new art style for Mirai specifically. So we'll have to see if this gets replicated over to the Guardian and the other Mirai ships that we have. But I think also the placement of them is a lot better, because I know a lot of people complained about the placement of the MFDs in the regular Guardian, where they're up above you. It affects your vision, specifically in dogfights when you're in particular maneuvers when you're going up. It's just really, really hard to track your target. So this should really, really help with that. So looking forward to maybe we'll get this on the other Guardians. Maybe they'll switch it, you know, at some point. So we'll have to see. Also, it seems like the ship, like the landing gear, are a lot higher up. Like the whole ship just seems like it's like lifted a lot higher off the ground, which again, that may contribute to it not fitting in some ships very easily or at all. Like I'm not seeing on the regular Guardian on the outside of the lower wings here that are closer to the ground. You have one side, there's a weapon rack, and the other has some personal storage. I don't see any like panels or anything here that indicate that that's there. So that may just not be on this version of the Guardian. We're definitely going to go check this out because we're going to go check it out on the show floor. We'll pick it up. We're going to go do a whole walk around of it. We'll go test it out in some combat scenarios and see how it performs. We'll do that for the TAC as well. Do a little bit more testing with that. So make sure you are subscribed to get those videos when they come out. Probably at least the Guardian one will come out later today. So we'll see. And here we have another shot. You can see side by side with the regular Guardian. See, the regular Guardian is way lower to the ground. Like, these landing gear barely come out. And I don't know what. Unless it's just the wing. However the wings are designed, they just need that extra height to prevent them from hitting the ground. I feel like maybe they could lower the landing gear a little bit. I feel like it's a bit much, personally, from what I can tell. So again, we'll have to see. We'll have to check them out side by side in game and see how that looks. But I think that's everything for the Behind the Ships episode on the Guardians. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at its store page. Alrighty, here we are on the Guardian MX's page on the website. So we have Mirai Guardian MX, Elegant Execution. Stripped of anything that doesn't serve its lethal agenda, the Guardian MX is dedicated to getting the job done with devastating precision. Keeping the cutting-edge design of its predecessor, the MX refines destruction to a powerful art. Enhanced weaponry and shields means Mirai, once again, has put you ahead of every other single pilot flying. It's a little bit debatable because it's a heavy fighter and you'll get outmaneuvered by a Gladius, but we'll just ignore that for now. I'm sure this will be a really good ship for like PvE, like bounties or things like that. I think this could work really well for like the new space combat missions. This will work really, really well for a lot of those. We have Deadly in Purpose. With the increased firepower of quad size 4 weapons, the Guardian MX is one of the fiercest fighters that can be operated by a single pilot, putting the perfect tool for valor, virtue, and vengeance in your hands. We have Resilient Under Threat. Bolstered by additional armor and double the shields of its predecessor, Mirai's newest variant can withstand the barrage while you get into position for the final blow. And Explosive in Battle. The Guardian MX's impressive missile loadout means that not only can you pick a fight, but you've got the goods to end one too. Yeah, it does have a pretty decent missile payload. I believe it's 24 size 2 missiles. So if you throw rattlers on that, that's a lot of missiles you can lob at someone. So I think it'll, again, maybe in like a group scenario, maybe you have one of these paired with a couple of lighter fighters to shake off, other light fighters going after this. But this, if you can get the guns on target, will definitely smash through a lot of those really small ships incredibly quickly. And having that missile payload, you'll be able to, keep up the pressure on some of those other ships as well. So then we've got some cool images of it. There's some, man, the art for ships is never disappoints. It always looks absolutely insane. So, and now let's get into the technical specs for the ship. Okay, so for a length, we are looking at 25 meters, width of 20 meters, and a height of 11. Again, I think the length and the width are probably about the same as the Guardian. I think it's mostly the height that's more significantly impacted. I'd say it's probably at least 2 meters taller than the base Guardian, so it's quite a bit taller. Again, I think part of it is the wings being larger. Part of it is that landing gear being higher off the ground. So definitely a sizable increase from the height of the main Guardian. Then, of course, we have our 4 size 4 weapons, and then 2 bespoke missile racks that each hold 12 size 2 missiles, and, of course, a crew of 1. So then let's look at our paints. So our factory standard is the black and gray with a red accent. You can see that here. Looks pretty good. Looks fine. We have blackout. Oh, man. That paint looks sick. Just matte black. Just give me this paint on like every ship, please, CIG. That just became one of my favorite paints ever, I think. It just looks so cool. You still have all these little red accents like in the missile launcher there you can see, and on the edge of the wing back here. But man, does that paint look good. Let me know, do you think did this just become your favorite paint as well? Because I literally think this paint just became my favorite paint in all of Star Citizen. Now, am I going to buy the ship? I don't know. But the paint, it looks really, really good. Let's see what else we got. So we got Peninsula, which is black, tan, and green. This is kind of the same, as I said earlier, puke-looking color scheme that we saw on the Starlancer TAC. I think that's probably going to be on some of the other ships as well, similar styled paint. Then we have a Burnout, which is, this looks basically like a souped up version of the default paint you get on the base Mirai Pulse, the little hover bike. Really bright red Mirai. So, it looks more, this paint makes it look more like a racing variant, which I would not be surprised if at some point we do get a racing variant of the Guardian. So, if you want to pair this with a Pulse, this will just make it look basically the same. And then we have a Harlequin, I think is how you'd say that, which is black and green with red accents. And this is the concierge paint, it looks like. So this is going to make it look like the Mirai Pulse LX, which is the racing version of the Pulse. Just pretty much the exact same, just, of course, enlarged for this ship. Looks really good. You could pair that. I think you might be able to actually get a Pulse inside the ship. I think I've seen people do it. So you could, in theory, pair a Pulse with this thing. And it would probably work out pretty well. So again, it looks really cool. I still think that paint is my favorite. Just matte black, little bits of red. Looks really, really good. So let me know your thoughts on the paints in the comments. Which one do you think is your favorite? So then let's look at our price. So Warbond, we are looking at, so this is your concierge offer with the special lime green paint, $270. Regular Warbond, of course, is also going to be $270. So I think that puts it, I think the regular Guardian is $250. So it puts it at slightly higher than the base Guardian, which makes sense. You have the additional firepower. You're just losing out on that habitation area. So that price makes sense to me. And then your standalone with, wait a minute. Okay, so standalone with just your store credit would be $290, so $20 more. It looks like that is all there is for that. And then we have, of course, there's some packs. If you want the trio pack, if you're concierge and you want the Guardian QI, and the Guardian MX, that's looking at $675 Warbond. They also have that regularly. I think there's maybe just some extra paints you get in the concierge one. And then if you wanted that credit, you're looking at $750. And then, of course, paints. They have some different paint packs. I think most of the paints for the Guardian are also around $750, looks like. Yeah, that blackout paint. Man, I might just have to pick that up and then equip that on a Guardian when I get it in game or something. We'll have to see. So, some really cool looking paints. I guess there's always one that's a little bit higher for some reason. So, the burnout paint on this one in that case is $11. But everything else looks like it's $750, which isn't terrible for these ship paints. But I think that is all on the regular store page for the Guardian MX. Now, I think there's also a Q&A for this ship. We haven't gotten one from what I've seen for the Starlancer TAC. Unless maybe they did that when they first sold it a few months ago. Maybe I'm just forgetting. But let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Q&A for the Guardian MX. All right, so let's finish off by going over the Q&A for the Guardian MX. Okay, how does the additional weaponry and armor affect the Guardian MX's handling and range compared to the base variant? The Guardian MX's critical and part HP values are noticeably increased compared to the baseline variants. This is to support its more deadly firepower and expanded combat role. That said, the MX uses the same fuel tanks as the standard models, so due to its increased mass, it will burn more fuel, especially during atmospheric flight. For quantum travel, the range remains the same, since fuel capacity is unchanged. I don't think did they mention its handling? I think when I checked the stats, it's like the base Guardian is the most maneuverable, Guardian QI is a little bit less than that, and then the Guardian MX is a little bit less than the QI, so it's the least maneuverable of the three. For a heavy fighter, I think it's probably still fine enough for its maneuverability, so there's that. Then we have, does the additional weaponry compared to the base model affect the ship's footprint? If so, which ships will it fit in? The wings of the Guardian MX have become thicker to accommodate the additional weaponry, which gives the ship a larger footprint. You'll have to try it for yourself and see what ships it'll fit in. Oh, wow, thanks, CIG. I'm sure they know. Just tell us. I don't know. So maybe we have to do some testing on that at some point. Next we have, will the Guardian MX receive upgraded components to support the additional weaponry? And if so, how will this affect its signature compared to the base variant? The Guardian MX's power plant has been upgraded to a single size 2 to support the additional weaponry. It also received a second size 2 shield generator and an extra size 1 cooler. This will increase the signature compared to the base Guardian, which, that part's not great because the base Guardian already has like pretty high signature, and then it has a plus 30% signature modifier. So it's like you're gonna see it. It's like there's no such thing as a stealth Guardian. Like it's not really possible. So this will be even more so like that, which might also make it a even bigger missile magnet. And then next we have, while the Guardian has forward-facing missile launchers, the Guardian MX seems to have missile launchers mounted on the top. Does that change anything in terms of gameplay? The missile racks on the Guardian MX are built into the structure of the wings, allowing them to hold more than a standard rack. This means that the missile type is swappable, though the missile racks themselves and missile sizes can't be changed. Next we have, under what circumstances would one choose the Guardian MX over the base variant, and when might the base variant be more suitable? The Guardian MX is a dedicated combat ship with upgraded components. However, to fit all the new components in the ship, the habitation area is sacrificed. Therefore, you should choose the base Guardian if you want to be able to live in your Guardian due to its bed, bathroom, and food processor. So yeah, that's the biggest trade-off you're making, I think, is the lack of the habitation. You're giving up some more maneuverability, but you are gaining, again, quite a bit of offensive firepower. Next, how does its performance compare to other manufacturers' heavy fighters such as the Anvil Hurricane or F-8C Lightning? The MX variant is designed to strike a balance between durability and firepower while still maintaining the Mirai handling signature that sets it apart. That said, with durability and firepower being the main focus, it's not the most agile heavy fighter out there. For example, the Hurricane outperforms the MX in raw agility, performing higher linear Gs and superior maneuverability. On the other hand, when compared to heavier ships like the F-8C Lightning, the MX holds an edge in maneuverability, acceleration, and top speed, though it doesn't match the F-8C's toughness and durability. Okay. And our last three questions. In the base variant, the bed functions as an escape pod. With the living area removed in the MX, does this mean it no longer includes an escape pod? This is correct. Without the bed, there is no dedicated escape pod. In case of emergency, the pilot must leave through one of the other exits, so either out through the front pilot seat, that area, or through the back elevator. How does deploying the cockpit armor affect pilot visibility? The cockpit armor functions similarly to the armor on the Fury MX. There is extra framing around the cockpit, but it shouldn't have a large impact on visibility. Another note on visibility, we have redesigned the ship's cockpit layout by bringing the MFDs and buttons from the top to the bottom. This changes the visibility for the better. We plan to retroactively bring this redesigned cockpit to the base and QI versions in the future. Oh, okay. So they're going to change those around probably at some point. So that'll be a nice change. And then finally, we have, will the deployed cockpit armor affect the ship's defense during combat, or will its benefits only be apparent once the Maelstrom damage system is implemented? Even without Maelstrom, the cockpit armor will provide extra health to the cockpit before it can be destroyed, but it won't help against shots that hit the wings or body. There you go. So it gives you a little bit of extra health. Of course, it's not going to do anything against shots on the wings or body. Duh. And then maybe, once we get Maelstrom, maybe that'll also give some additional protection. We'll have to see. But that is the Q&A for the Mirai Guardian MX. I think that is everything for that. So yeah, that is going to do it for this video, going over the sales pages for the new ships, talking about the Combat Atlas's little teaser. So make sure to let me know all of your thoughts on these down in the comments. Do you think you're going to pick one up? Or do you think it's more of just an earn-in game for you, in a couple months when we can do that? Make sure to let me know, and keep an eye out for further videos coming on these ships, testing them in-game and seeing what we can do with them. And until next time, I'll see you in the verse.